Kiugo, Mumbi, and the Marathon of Creation. The word made ledger in the pursuit of global health. Civilization advances not first through machines, but through declarations of value. Today, global health stands at such a threshold. The Mumbi Project recognizes what the world has long overlooked, that the labor of care, motherhood, and community health is the hidden capital sustaining humanity. The Boston Marathon for Global Health 2027 is more than a race. It is a global proclamation that endurance, discipline, and shared purpose can reorganize the architecture of health equity. You do not need to travel to Boston to participate. The marathon is decentralized. Train, run, walk. Wherever you are in the world, your miles become a declaration that care is capital and health is justice. Join this global movement and let your steps become part of a new ledger of human flourishing, language that carries the density of will, identity, and action. Civilization begins with a word. Economies begin with a declaration of value. Health systems begin with a recognition of life as sacred infrastructure. The Natya principle of Kiugo, the creative word, reveals that reality is not built first with tools, institutions, or markets, but with language that carries the density of will, identity, and action. Where speech aligns with embodiment, creation obeys. Where speech fractures from action, systems decay into illusion. The Mumbi Project stands as the technological incarnation of Kiugo. It is the word translated into ledger, declaration translated into decentralized proof, and promise translated into programmable action. It is the moment when care, long spoken about yet never structurally recognized, becomes flesh within the architecture of blockchain. And the Boston Marathon for Global Health 2027 becomes the living ritual through which Kiugo is exercised by humanity itself, a planetary decree spoken through movement, endurance, and synchronized will. Kiugo and the recovery of economic authority. The Natya teaching reveals that Kiugo is not communication. It is creation. The Haitai speaks and describes reality. The Natya fellow speaks and reorganizes it. The crisis of modern global health lies precisely in the collapse of this creative authority. Governments speak of maternal care while underfunding midwives. Institutions proclaim health equity while constructing systems that reward treatment over prevention. Development agencies declare empowerment while leaving the labor of caregiving economically invisible. Global health, in its present form, is filled with words that lack vibrational integrity. The Mumbi Project emerges as Kiugo restored. It does not merely advocate for maternal care. It decrees its value into existence through code. Blockchain becomes the phonetic instrument through which speech gains permanence. Smart contracts become the grammatical structure that prevents the inflation of language. Once written onto chain, the word is no longer rhetorical. It becomes executable reality. Mumbi therefore embodies the Natya discipline. Every declaration must become action. Every promise must become infrastructure. Every recognition must become capital. Mumbi, the word made flesh in the economy of care. In African cosmology, Mumbi is mother, origin, and civilization's first infrastructure. The Mumbi token transforms this spiritual truth into economic structure by recognizing caregiving as the primary generator of human capital. Hernando de Soto described the global paradox of poverty as a crisis of invisibility. The poor possess assets, yet those assets remain unrecognized by formal economic systems. Women's caregiving labor represents the most profound example of this phenomenon. Motherhood sustains populations, breastfeeding builds immune systems, nutrition education prevents disease, and midwifery safeguards life itself. Yet this labor exists outside formal accounting systems. The Mumbi token resolves this invisibility through blockchain formalization. Care becomes recorded. Recorded care becomes tokenized value. Tokenized value becomes investable capital. Investable capital becomes improved health outcomes. This transformation solves De Soto's mystery not through policy rhetoric, but through Kiugo realized technologically. The word care becomes an asset class. The declaration that motherhood is infrastructure becomes cryptographically secured truth. Blockchain as the sacred ledger of Kiugo. The book on blockchain for global health equity describes health as information and economics as justice. Blockchain, within this framework, becomes more than financial infrastructure. It becomes a book of life, a distributed ledger that records acts that sustain existence itself. Every caregiving event logged onto Mumbi's blockchain represents a unit of preserved human potential. Each maternal life saved reduces disability-adjusted life years, dailies. Each vaccinated child increases the probability of future productivity and innovation. Each nourished infant becomes a node of future economic and scientific expansion. This transforms global health funding from charity into capital formation. Investors no longer fund abstract goodwill. They fund measurable reductions in human suffering and quantifiable expansions of human capability. Kiugo becomes executable code. Speech becomes consensus. Compassion becomes collateral. The Boston Marathon 2027, Kiugo in motion. If Mumbi is the word encoded into blockchain, the Boston Marathon for Global Health 2027 is the word encoded into human physiology. The marathon represents humanity's collective declaration that endurance can reorder global health priorities. Each runner embodies the Natia principle that speech must be followed by action. Training becomes personal governance. Participation becomes decentralized cooperation. Completion becomes proof of work, not merely in blockchain terms, but in biological and spiritual terms. The marathon teaches Mumbi 3 profound lessons. 1. Distributed participation creates global consensus. Just as blockchain requires decentralized nodes, the marathon requires decentralized runners. A person does not need to travel to Boston to participate. Every runner anywhere in the world contributes to the same declaration that health equity is a global responsibility. Every step becomes a vote for maternal health. Every mile becomes a smart contract of endurance. Every training session becomes a cryptographic signature of commitment. 2. Endurance converts intention into credibility. Stoic philosophy teaches that virtue is proven through disciplined action, not emotional aspiration. The marathon embodies Stoic mastery of self-governance, control over body, mind, and purpose. This mirrors Kiugo's demand that words be backed by embodiment. Similarly, Mumbi transforms the intention to support women into measurable execution through blockchain verification. Stoicism and Kiugo converge in teaching that integrity emerges when internal conviction becomes external consistency. 3. Suffering can be reorganized into meaning. Stoics teach that hardship becomes purposeful when aligned with higher virtue. The marathon transforms physical strain into symbolic solidarity with mothers who endure labor, childbirth, and caregiving hardship daily. Mumbi transforms that solidarity into structural economic support. Stoicism, Kiugo, and the moral architecture of global health. Stoic philosophers such as Marcus Aurelius taught that the universe organizes itself around reason aligned with virtue. The Natia tradition expresses this through Kiugo, vibration aligned with will. Both traditions insist that reality responds to coherence. The Mumbi Project operationalizes this convergence. Stoicism teaches discipline of self. Kiugo teaches discipline of speech. Blockchain teaches discipline of execution. Together, they produce a new governance architecture for global health, decentralized, incorruptible, and morally grounded. Mumbi and the redemption of dead capital. De Soto observed that capitalism flourishes where property systems recognize human effort. Mumbi expands this insight by recognizing caregiving as the foundational property right of civilization itself. When care is tokenized, women gain creditworthiness, community health networks gain sustainable financing, public health systems gain real-time accountability, investors gain measurable social return, nations gain healthier populations capable of economic expansion. Dead capital becomes living infrastructure. The marathon as global Kiugo. The Boston Marathon for global health represents a planetary decree spoken through movement. It is a demonstration that decentralized individuals acting in synchronized purpose can reprogram global health priorities. Participation is universal. One does not need to be in Boston. The marathon is a distributed sacrament of endurance. A runner in Nairobi, Lagos, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, or rural Kansas contributes equally to the global declaration. Training becomes a ritual of self-governance. Running becomes an economic signal. Completion becomes proof that human will can reorganize systems previously believed immovable. The future, when the word becomes civilization. Kiugo teaches that creation begins when speech aligns with identity. Mumbi transforms this principle into economic infrastructure. The marathon transforms it into global ritual. Blockchain preserves it as incorruptible memory. Together, they represent a new model of global health financing built not on bureaucracy, but on distributed human conviction. In this emerging civilization, mothers become recognized economic architects. Care becomes programmable capital. Endurance becomes global governance. Blockchain becomes the ledger of human dignity. The word has been spoken through Mumbi. The word is being lived through the marathon. The word is being recorded through blockchain. And as Kiugo teaches, when speech, will, and action converge into one frequency, reality reorganizes itself in obedience. For more about how to participate in the marathon, visit https://actuate.bio/Boston2027.